I don't have the address for Etta. Dora Lee Kelly of Birmingham, Alabama is 100. Margaret Tully of Long Island is 100. And Sue Smith of Hope, Arkansas is 102. There is a group in this city of New York that is probably one of the most respected, one of the best informed, one of the best talented groups in the entire country, and they happen to reside here in Manhattan. The Boys Choir of Harlem. This is Dr. Walter Turnbull. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. How are you?
Do you have to whip these kids into shape every once in a while? Do you have to sort of get tough?
All of the time.
Where'd you get this array of talent?
Well, there are a lot of wonderful kids in Harlem. We have about 100 boys, and we work with them all year round.
And do you go around audition in schools, or just find them? They come to you, or how do you?
Oh yeah, we audition in schools. Third graders. They start in the third grade, and they spend a year learning technique and vocal music and training and getting their grades in good shape, and then they go on from there to become performers.
Is everything he says the truth? Does he ever get rough? Does he ever take you back there and say, "Okay, kid, if you don't sing right, I'm going to take you"? And, huh?
Yes.
He's a good guy.
Yes.
All right. And you sing what?
Soprano.
Soprano. Is that like this high? I can't sing that high. I'm sort of a broken down, beat up old baritone. What's your name?
Kelton Hannah.
I'm glad to meet you. Where you go to school?
Mott Hall.
And you're 32 years old?
No,
How old are you?
13.
13. I read the cue card wrong. Well, I'm so glad to meet all of you, especially on Liberty Day. And you've got quite a schedule, and you're going to entertain and perform today, or is it later on?
Yes, we're performing today and this afternoon at the Battery Park at the Harbor Festival, and tomorrow at Battery Park, and the next day at Battery
That's
Park.
great. Well, lots of throat lozenges, gang, because you're going to be singing your little hearts out. The Boys Choir of Harlem, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Walter Turnbull, I'll get out of the way.
Son who plays a guitar and grows up to be a rock and roll star. Yes, even a sharecropper's son can go far in America. America is an immigrant's daughter with something to say, who grows up to be a writer one day. An immigrant's daughter can turn out okay in America. America is the cop on the beat who walks all alone and offers his life to safeguard your own. Like so many heroes unsung and unknown in America. America is the telephone man on top of a pole, the miner who digs deep down in a hole, and each one in search of his own private goal. In America, America, you can build a stronger dam, you can make a faster plane, irrigate a barren desert that is crying out for rain. Anything you can dream, you can do, it's up to you. America is the light in the harbor that immigrants see, that tell them they've reached the land of the free. And that is the way that it always will be in America. America. In America.
listening to the Harlem Boys Choir. We're going to hear a little bit more about them from them as this morning progresses. As we noted, President Reagan is aloft right now. He and Mrs. Reagan are aboard Marine One, where we believe they are going to do a flyby over the Statue of Liberty to get a little bit of a closer look. We'll be trying to catch up on that a little bit later. As perhaps you heard us say a little bit earlier, more than half the people in this country can trace their American roots to people who came through this harbor. The governor of New York State, Mario Cuomo, is one of those people. I went back there recently with him to retrace his parents' steps and to talk about those feelings he expressed so well in a speech that put him on the political map, his keynote speech at the 1984 Democratic Convention in San Francisco.
I learned about our kind of democracy from my father, and I learned about our obligation to each other from him and my mother. They asked only for a chance to work and to make the world better for their children. I watched a small man with thick calluses on both his hands work 15 and 16 hours a day. I saw him once literally bleed from the bottoms of his feet. A man who came here uneducated, alone, unable to speak the language, who taught me all I needed to know about faith and hard work by the simple eloquence of his example.
The Cuomo's corner store in Queens was only the end of a long journey from Italy. To get there, Andrea Cuomo first worked in his promised land as a ditch digger. Within a year, he had enough money to bring his wife from Italy and start a new life together. Like her husband and 12 million other immigrants, Immaculata Cuomo first came to Ellis Island. Amid a lot of tears, 5,000 immigrants a day were processed through the Great Hall, which is now undergoing extensive renovation. How often did she tell you the story of what went on here?
My mother would not talk to you about Ellis Island unless you pushed her. And that's true of a lot of people who came through the place. They don't remember it fondly. They remember America fondly, and they remember the excitement of coming here. But the actual room, the Great Hall, the Ellis Island experience, where people asked them questions that they couldn't answer and marked them mentally ill if they moved in a peculiar way. She felt, I think, humiliated by the experience, frightened.
The Great Hall was a place filled with insecurity and anxiety. Only steerage passengers off the ships waited there for a medical check. Examiners worried most about trachoma, a contagious disease of the eyes. A button hook was used to flip back eyelids while mothers worried that if their children cried, their red eyes would be mistaken for a symptom. Only a small percentage were turned away, but they still totaled 250,000. For some, there was no home to return to. For those who stayed, there are millions of stories.
My favorite is the Jewish gentleman who came and who got pushed around a little bit on the island and tried to say in Yiddish, "Overlooked already, Schoen vergessen." And they made him Sean Ferguson, and he was that for a lifetime.
Governor, when was the last time you were out here?
I was here on a July 4th, I guess 3 years ago, actually. I remember it well because I remember calling my mother from the helicopter to tell her I was on my way to Ellis Island. She said, "Why? You should be home with the family."
She's obviously emotional about the place. Are you?
Yes, more so as I've grown older. I've written about it. I've been here. I've studied the experience. And as a politician and now a public servant, what Ellis Island represents is the widening of the circle of opportunity for people in this country. And I don't think that's a matter of the past. I don't think that's something historic. I think that's our present situation, is trying to find the courage and the wisdom to widen the circle of opportunity. A lot of us are doing very well in this country. I am.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the same opportunities have changed a little bit. I mean, whereas we used to throw open our arms, we now send Salvadorans back. We try to keep Mexicans out. We resent Vietnamese. Why is that?
See, I think over the last 6 years, what we've really said to ourselves, last 6 or so years, what we've really been told, and what too many of us believe, is that, hey, look, there isn't room for everybody. You're always going to have a whole lot of people who are poor. When Lincoln was president, 1 out of 7 were slaves. Now 1 out of 7 are poor, 33 million. But forget about that. There's always going to be a lot of poor people. Don't feel guilty about it. Now, that's something new for us. We were always an optimistic, a bold people who said, hey, look, as long as they're willing to work, as long as they have any kind of strength at all,
we'll make do, them
we can make, and we always did.
But now it's a selfish judgment?
Well, I'm not going to say it's selfish. I think probably it's a lowering of our level of aspiration.
So what do we celebrate here on the 4th? What is it that's being celebrated?
I think probably it's different for different people. For me, and I'm looking forward to it, what we're celebrating is this nation at its very best. We're celebrating opportunity. We're celebrating this place as the place to which people came, and I hope someday will be able to come, who couldn't make it anywhere else because they weren't allowed to, because the places where they were from weren't strong enough or smart enough or gifted enough to provide them with a chance to make it. Millions and millions of people came to this specific place and saw that specific magnificent lady. And what she represents is the central idea of America. So I see the 4th of July as a wonderful celebration. In my case, there's no better example of people who had nothing. You go in one generation from a mother and father who couldn't speak the language, who were digging ditches, the old man anyway, to a governor of the greatest state in the whole United States. So there's no better example of what she has already done for us.
Millions of black people, black Americans, look to the statue, realize where they came from, and say, hey, wait, I didn't pass through here. And to a great extent, what that statue represents is still an empty promise here to me. What should they see in all of this celebration?
I think many people are absolutely correct. There's a lot still to be done, and I think it's legitimate and right to regard our Lady Liberty as a kind of monument to the progress of the past, but also a continuing reminder of the promise of the future. We haven't begun to learn our own strength yet. We're just scratching at this game, and there's a long way to go.
There is a long way to go. The promise of the future does look bright. Certainly that has occurred, I think, to most. Have you taken a look down the boardwalk at the crowd that has gathered here? Most of them gathering for the parade of tall ships. That's just part of the celebration going on here. You can see some of the many who are gathered here. We might also add some are gathered over on Battery Park. They are lining both sides of the Hudson. They are up and down most of the buildings that are part of the skyline.
Well, all up and down the island of Manhattan, I would guess, getting a view of the tall ships coming.
It's tough for us to get a guess, but we have heard some estimates of a crowd that will be somewhere in the vicinity of 13 million that will observe some of the festivities firsthand. You can just see part of the action that's going on in the harbor. And we might note that, I was going to say half a world away, but that would be stretching it. Certainly an ocean away, there are some Americans whose thoughts are not totally on what's going on here. That's because they still have some business to tend to at Wimbledon. We'll be getting a Wimbledon preview in just a moment. But first, let us turn our attention again to a reflection on liberty, this time from an immigrant from Poland who has done very well in this country. Thank you.
There is some very special identification with that statue, with that idea which the statue represents, and therefore with America. America, after all, is not an organic nation. All of us as Americans share a different past, but a common future.
We'll come back in just a moment, continuing our way through the 4th. We'll have a Wimbledon report after these messages.
She's beautiful. Right on.
Looking good. Quite a lady.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Liberty. Happy birthday to you.
We are proud to honor her too. We are Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Do you know me? I won the America's Cup. From me. I'll bet you Yanks can't even remember what it looks like.
They can't even remember what I look like. That's why I travel with the American Express card.
Likewise, mate. Without it, I'd be dead in the water.
What a pleasant thought.
To apply for the card, look for an application and take one.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
On this day when we honor the Statue of Liberty and the immigrants she's welcomed, isn't it appropriate that we find a naturalized American from Czechoslovakia working her way toward the women's finals at Wimbledon? Here's sports reporter Bill McAtee.
Good morning, Brian. Well, we're with a naturalized American who has a big day coming up tomorrow, Martina Navratilova. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen, I was thinking about this morning, the 4th of July in the United States? You're always over here?
Once. When I was in Boston playing team tennis, and they had the fireworks going off at the Charles River Park, so it was fun. But I guess here you get just as much of a feeling as you get at home, actually.
I have to ask you this one question, in keeping with the Lady Liberty theme. Why pick the United States? You could have, a lot of people go to other countries for tax reasons. The United States has no tax advantages. Very nice chapeau.
Well, I spent a lot of time there, and I had a lot of friends, and I always felt that it was the greatest country in the world. I mean, you've got it all there. You know, you can do anything and everything, and you can do it anywhere. And the people are very friendly, and I've always felt very comfortable there.
Also with us this morning is Hannah Manlikova, who will be playing Martina. Congratulations to you about yesterday. As you were growing up, what did you think about this lady to my left?
Well, actually, I was a ball girl for her, and that was funny because there was another Czech player, Renata Tomanova, and you know, I had a choice between ball girling for her or for Renata, and because I like Martina's style, I choose for Martina. So since then, she was my idol.
What do you think about trying to beat her? Because technically, you're very similar.
Well, I'm just, excuse me, I'm just looking for a good match, and hopefully, you know, everybody else is going to enjoy it as we will.
Okay. The reason we are here is because it is Martina's doubles partner's birthday today. She used to think this was all for her. Pam Shriver, who is elegantly understated to our left. And we've also got a cake for you. Why don't we bring that in? Happy birthday. And I think we've got some gifts as well from Martina. Very nice cake. Why don't you go ahead and we'll give you this. To open.
The cards later. Yeah. Oh my gosh. One is this is an appropriate gift for your home, I think. I hope that I visited in the winter this year.
You two are still alive in doubles, right?
Very much so. We play semifinals later today, and hopefully finals tomorrow.
You're pretty excited about the possibility of winning 3.
Well,
3 different titles.
I still have a lot of matches to win, so I'm not really.
How do I open it?
I don't know. Just pull the straps, I guess. There we go.
See, for television, you always have those easy open gifts, Martina. Something you have to learn.
I didn't wrap this. I'm not very good. It would have been a lot easier to open. Oh my drawers, Oh, and you get this is an old scale. Here's a drawer. Oh wow! It doesn't open. See how much weight I've lost? Anyway, you can weigh. It's like for your letters and stuff that you can mail me. You can weigh if they're decent.
That's great. That's right. I have a house which was built in 1813, so this will.
Yeah, I think it's about 100 years old. Actually, got it in France.
While Martina opens the other present. You used to think this day was for you, right? Is that when you were a kid?
When I was growing up, yeah, I thought the fireworks. I thought, God, this is fantastic.
I didn't know it's such a big deal, but a couple years later, I realized it wasn't just for me.
Oh, it's not for them. And this is a more appropriate gift.
Oh, wow, cool.
I helped the committee to sell these coins. It's a
Statue of Liberty commemorative coin, medallion, which is now broken.
Judy, it's stuck in the door. Anyway, this is to hang around your neck. I got one right here. See? Now we can match.
Now I won't choke anymore, maybe.
Well, thank you all very much. Happy 4th of July to everyone here.
Oh,
we appreciate
and these are
you coming
for you
by.
also, apparently. I love them so much, but I'll
The complete Lady Liberty ensemble, ladies and gentlemen.
Now I go on the doubles court like this, right?
Coming up a little bit later on NBC Sports, you'll be seeing more tennis. Let's check in now about 200 yards away with Dick Enberg on center court. Richard?
All right, Bill McAtee, we are only a few feet from the playing surface here at center court, so Boris Becker just a hand's reach away as we pan down to center court. They're in the third set. Boris Becker and Henri Leconte. Leconte, the French firecracker, this is his birthday as well. He's 23 years old today, but it's been a fizzle for him so far. He lost the first 2 sets 6-2, 6-4. They're on serve 1-all in the third. The games have been very quickly played. In fact, this is the first time that we've had a deuce or an advantage situation. Until now, throughout the entire first 2 sets, there wasn't one time where the player losing a game scored more than 2 points. Becker, with 3 breaks of service, 2 in the first set, 1 in the second, has a 2-0 lead. So the defending champion Boris Becker trying to repeat that remarkable achievement of last year when he became the first unseeded, the youngest ever at 17 to win Wimbledon. On course again to Sunday's final, although on serve with a flashy Frenchman, Henri Leconte, 2-1, Leconte in the third. So that's the story of them. Oh, we can't update Pam Shriver. Martina Navratilova won the first set of their doubles match with Elise Bergen and Roz Fairbank, and it's 4-3 in the second. So they're just a couple of games away from advancing to the women's doubles final. So from London, England, happy 4th of July to all our favorite columnists, Bryant and Jane in New York.
Hey, Dick, don't go away just yet. Can you hear me? Hello,
Pardon?
Dick. Dick, I'm aware that Becker had a bad ankle. Should I assume it's not bothering him at all, or is he just working through it?
Well, the word was that Leconte took some extra time coming onto center court today to tape ankles, but it was not an injury suffered during the course of this championship. It's something he's been doing for the last several tournaments, and just a precautionary taping, nothing to do with a current injury.
Okay, Dick Enberg, thank you very much. And again, we'll look forward to hearing you and Bud Collins a little bit later as NBC Sports Wimbledon coverage continues. Our coverage of events here at the, let's get a look up overhead, because I do believe Marine One with the president is passing overhead. The lead helicopter is Marine One. Taking the president onto his next obligation. Let's go ahead and run you through some of what has happened on this day as Marine One passes down, heading uptown, actually. And you saw the Twin Towers in the background. We have been here throughout most of the mornings. We are awaiting the start of the procession of the tall ships through the harbor. They actually began that procession up in the Verrazano Narrows. It is going to include 22 of the world's finest sailing ships, accompanied by a flotilla of some 270 ships. A little bit earlier this morning, we saw the International Naval Review. You are getting a look at the USS Iowa. That was the ship upon which the president reviewed some other battleships or naval ships from around the globe. That is part of what has gone on this morning. We're still awaiting the start of OpSail 86, and we've still got a lot more to do. Jay?
Thank you, Bryant. One thing the Statue of Liberty here doesn't lack for is family. It seems there are Miss Liberties all over the world, and our cameras have tracked down a few of these Liberty cousins.
We've heard a lot recently about the one in Paris, newly renovated, the gift of Americans in France at the time the French gave us the real one. England has at least 2. One at the home of the 48th Tactical Fighter Wing in Suffolk, a gift of the Officers' Wives Club. The other over what once was the Liberty Shoe Factory in the city of Leicester. There's a replica at an Alliance for Progress project in Rio, and another in an affluent suburb of Buenos Aires, defaced with red paint during the Falklands War, but all cleaned up now. Farther afield in more ways than one, Miss Liberty in Bangkok guards the entrance to what is said to be a brothel. The same in Tokyo, the same in Yokohama. Back home, and surely more wholesome, she reigns over Liberty Insurance in Birmingham, Alabama. And full circle back to New York, there's even a replica here over, of course, the Liberty Warehouse.
So maybe else it can be said that the sun never sets on Miss Liberty. We'll be back with more of this special edition of Today on NBC, but first, this is Today on NBC.
Wow, that's some mouthwash. Tastes icy clean.
It's new, peppermint.
It's blue. Why?
I don't know.
Powerful.
It certainly is.
Peppermint Power's coming. Watch for it.
Recognize this? It's the tool dentists and hygienists use to scrape tartar off your teeth. Recognize this? It's the tool more of them recommend to help keep tartar off. Tartar Control Crest with fluoride. Look, ugly tartar must be scraped off, but you can fight cavities and tartar buildup between cleanings with clinically proven Tartar Control Crest. Dentists know a little more of this could mean a little less of this. Tartar Control Crest, the dentist's choice for fighting tartar. And if you brush with a gel, now you can fight tartar too, with Tartar Control Crest in a new fresh mint gel. For a tartar-fighting gel, the dentist's choice is your only choice. Tartar Control Crest's new fresh mint gel.
When you can say, that's my printer, odds are that's InstiPrints. In the few short months InstiPrints has been open, hundreds of folks in western Montana have learned to respect the fast, professional service. Business cards for $9.95? You bet. Calling on you at your business? Certainly. Just meet an InstiPrint professional. If you need consulting on your next printing project, see InstiPrints, the printer you can count on when others count on you. Remember, that's my printer. InstiPrints, 111 West Broadway.
America is children. America is picnics. America is natural beauty. But above all, America is freedom. Our nation was born on the battlefield and forged by the courage of the American soldier and the skill of the American craftsman who built his weapon. And they have preserved our freedom for over 2 centuries to this very day. Happy birthday, America.
In America could a Russian comedian emigrate to the United States and become such a success so soon as Yakov Smirnoff. He is a classic American success story. He came here in 1977. He first worked as a bartender. Now he's seen in movies like the recent hit The Money Pit and on television. He's also making a good living here in an NBC episode of Night Court. Soon he'll be also featured in a new series. It is called What a Country. Fact is, Yakov Smirnoff has been a citizen for less than 24 hours now because he was among those sworn in by Chief Justice Warren Burger last night. Look at you, you're all beaming and grinning.
This is a great feeling. This is what, there is no better place to become a citizen.
Well, talk to me. What did it feel like?
Oh, well, like the sign flashed like welcome home. This was wonderful. I wanted to become a citizen for a long time now. I applied 3 years ago, but the post office was handling it, so that took a little time. But it was a dream of mine to become a citizen and to see the Statue of Liberty.
I'm going to stop you for 1 sec because look at this. I mean, this is where the event went on last night. Where are you in this thing?
I'm somewhere in a tuxedo.
I mean, what are you, to his right, to his left, back row, first row?
Yeah, first row, but I don't think I see myself.
You probably want a tape of this. You probably have a tape of this, right?
Not yet, no, but I will get it.
You're going to acquire one of them?
Definitely.
What did it, no, seriously, I mean, as you were standing there, what was racing through your mind? What, get the words right?
No, I think that it was the feeling that I had when I arrived to America, first time, and I got a little apartment in New York, and we didn't have, my parents and me didn't have any food or furniture or whatever, and almost no money, and the doorbell rang, and I opened the door, there was like 20 people, neighbors from that building, who had like food and furniture and was standing there and piling in and smiling to us. We didn't speak English. We couldn't express our feelings. And that's how it felt last night. It was like all those people were welcoming me. People were coming over just hugging me, saying, good luck, congratulations. And that was just wonderful.
That's nice. Your parents became citizens some time ago. I mean, you emigrated with them. Why'd you wait 9 years? I mean, the joke aside about the post office.
I didn't, when I was called to become a citizen, I was in New York shooting a movie, Brewster's Millions. And I wrote the letter that I can't do it this time. And they said, no problem. And then the post office lost the papers.
You really are serious?
Yeah.
You mentioned the statue. When did you first see it?
First time, well, I was hoping to see it right away because old immigrants saying that this is the first thing you see when you come to the harbor. Now, I flew to Kennedy Airport.
What was the first thing you saw?
I saw in the immigration office huge woman who was like 400 pounds. And I thought that was, I looked up and I said, Statue of Liberty. And she said, yeah, I'm tired and I'm poor. So, okay, fine. Then I wanted to go on Ellis Island. And people told me Ellis Island, and I thought it was Elvis Island. And so this is not joking. And I'm showing up with blue suede shoes on. So yesterday when I was watching the statue, and this was a very emotional moment, and I knew they're renovating it, but I was just hoping they don't make her like wear green Reeboks or something.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, what do you think about all of this? I mean, the way Americans celebrate their patriotism with all the glitz and the glamour. I mean, do you see anything funny in it?
No, well, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a very warm feeling, and being in my position, becoming a citizen, I couldn't believe how many people were happy for me. That was wonderful.
Do you feel 100% American yet, or do you still say, I'm still adjusting a little bit? I remember you told me that when you came here, you tried to learn English from watching TV, and 3 months later you found out you've been watching the Spanish network. But, I mean, are you totally at home with all of our idioms and idiosyncrasies yet?
I don't think I'm completely at home. I mean, I had a couple of days ago, a girl said to me, please be frank. And I said, I don't need to change my name just to... So I still make certain mistakes, but it was, the feeling was there. It was definitely a wonderful feeling.
Let's take a look. May I read this?
Sure.
Because you've been carrying it around, and I saw you last night holding it, and it says, Yakov Smirnoff, for representing the state of California on July 3rd, 1986, during Liberty Weekend at the Statue of Liberty Restoration Celebration, Ellis Island, New York. And I imagine that has a place of honor. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. Well, when the governor of California, you know, decided to choose me representing California, I felt like Miss America. But in California, a lot of guys feel that.
My friend, I know how much it means to you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
That's obvious. Let's go to Willard's Garden.
Hey, we got some more down here, too. And if you want some real entertainment, the first thing you always do is you turn to an Irishman. These are some Irishmen who don't want any beer after this service is over this afternoon. They don't want anything to do with women.
I've never heard of it.
And they don't ever fight. Is that right?
That's for sure.
That's a bunch of lying Irishmen we got here today. James
That's
Keane.
a bit of blarney there.
Super blarney. We're so glad you could help us celebrate this morning.
Well, that's great. It's great to be here in Governor's Island, and we're all native New Yorkers now, having come from Ireland years ago, and certainly enjoying celebrating the Independence Day with everybody.
Well, we're glad you could be with us. This is the Ellis Island Irish Band, and if you want to hear some great music, and they tell me if I'm a good boy, I can actually perform with them, right?
You have to be good.
What am I going to play?
Good. Well, you play the baron with
the
us.
What?
You play the baron.
That thing over there with the...
Yeah, we have a spare baron
goat
there.
skin. All right.
Yes.
What are you going to play for us?
We're going to play a couple of reels, and the first reel is called Lady on the Island, and the second reel is called Sailor on the Rock.
And play it real good, because if you don't, you won't get paid.
Especially for the lady on the island.
Okay, for the lady. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Here we go.
Back in a moment. A lot more festivities ahead right after these messages.
Montana,
It's the Big Sky country, and we're proud of it. But there's a storm brewing in the Big Sky, a storm of budget cuts that will slash statewide services. Education, law enforcement, health care, park maintenance. We need to rally Montana and support efforts to maintain state services and preserve the Big Sky.
A message from the Montana Public Employees Association and the Montana Federation of Teachers.
There's a surprise for you.
Morning. I've invited a few people for coffee.
A few?
Folger's new special roast flaked is a very generous coffee.
Can we afford to be this generous?
Special roast flaked costs less.
Sure, it's in a smaller can.
But I use less, so this smaller can makes a pound worth of mountain-grown Folgers.
Can I save money?
Right.
Anybody need a refill? Folger's new special roast flaked, the generous coffee.
An hour from now, there'll be 50,000 fans here, eating, drinking, cheering, and groaning. Some of those fans will leave here not feeling so well. Whether it's heartburn, upset stomach, even diarrhea, they can all take one remarkable medicine for relief. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, Pepto-Bismol relieves what's wrong, relieves it, then leaves a protective coating behind. Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need.
Families have come to us. They believe in liberty, Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Our house is special to us, so we shopped around for homeowners insurance.
Liberty Mutual gave us the right protection at the right price. We believe in liberty.
America believes in liberty. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
We're back now on a very special Friday morning, 210th birthday of the United States of America, 100th birthday of the lady over there. It's a big weekend. A lot of these folks here feel like it's party time, and they're enjoying themselves.
Well, I should hope so. They've got picnics. They've got their cameras.
I have one question. We are awaiting, obviously, the arrival of Presidents Reagan and Mitterrand at a position just a little bit farther down the boardwalk. You are seeing there the assemblage of some of the state and regional flags here to honor the presidents. They, along with us, will get a chance to enjoy the parade of tall ships, and we'll be catching that as this morning goes along. One thing we have not mentioned as this morning goes along, how much weight would you guess we've gained this morning?
Who's we? You and me?
Yeah.
Well, how
because
much,
we haven't made any mention.
About a half an inch of jelly beans
yeah,
be responsible
we haven't
for.
made any mention of this right here, but this is obviously patriotic as far as we were concerned. But they took into consideration Jane and I's little habit of munching from time to time. So these are jelly beans, and no, they're not necessarily there in tribute to President Reagan. Before somebody jumps up and says that, they're just there because they look nice and they taste good.
But just for the record, it was Mr. Gumbel who dove down to the bottom to grab up the red ones.
Yeah, but they're pretty good, you got to admit. They're pretty good. Talk while I swallow, will you?
Yes, Bryant. The white ones are coconut, the red ones are cherry, and the blue ones are nondescript, but they're my favorite. Is that what I was...
No, that's all right. Well, let us try to catch you up. You can see that the president has obviously left Marine One, and he has arrived at our location here on Governor's Island. You saw President Francois Mitterrand and his wife Danielle just to his left there. And they will now make their way to the places of honor there.
Standing for the presentation of the colors of the Republic of France and the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the Republic of France, the Marseillaise, and our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by America's leading mezzo-soprano, Miss Marilyn Horne.
Allons,
broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket in the air of mercy gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
Marilyn Horne singing the national anthems of the Republic of France and, of course, the United States of America. The President Reagan and President Mitterrand will now take their seats among the assembled guests and honorees, and down there at the reviewing stand. And along with us, they're going to be watching the parade of tall ships. Would you call that the highlight?
The
of
tall
this day?
ships?
Yeah.
I certainly think it would be the most memorable. I am also looking forward to the fireworks, but as fireworks happen every 4th of July and tall ships have only happened a few times, then obviously this
And
is,
also,
this
we're
is
going to
it.
be long gone by the time the 4th of July, not by the 4th of July, but by the time the fireworks roll around, aren't
I
we?
wasn't going to mention anything to that effect, but you're absolutely right.
We are working our way through a fourth hour of a special edition of today. We're going to come back in just a moment. Tom Brokaw is going to join us. We talk about some of those tall ships and some of the other festivities that are going on in New York Harbor. We'll get to that right after this.
Disney Pictures, do you have a nose for fun? An appetite for adventure? Then here comes Toby.
Toby? Toby?
Sit, Toby.
Toby! Seek 'em!
Toby is the likably lickable, delightfully dog-eared new star in an all-new tale for the whole family. The Great Mouse Detective, rated G.
Now playing at theaters everywhere. Check your local newspaper.
Baskin-Robbins just reinvented ice cream. Chocolate raspberry truffle, almond amaretto, our new international creams.
Dennis Voss, artist in the permanent collection, Yellowstone Art Center.
The landscape in Montana, to me, boils down to the union of sky and earth, which is obvious. The clarity of that line sometimes maybe is one way to start thinking about the clarity of your mind. It would be my hope that developing a relationship with one of these drawings over a certain period of time would be kind of like putting some music on that one constantly finds themselves returning to. It should be a treat to sit down and go into it. Expressionistic concerns in some of my work has to do with being spontaneous. And like I tell my students, you really can't think about making a spontaneous line or you've defeated the whole thing.
Hundreds of American cities are now part of Tree City USA. Plant a tree and support your city's forestry program. Be a part of this growing national movement. Keep a great thing growing, America. Tree City USA. For more information, write the National Arbor Day Foundation.
You were with us earlier when Tom Brokaw joined us for a very special interview that he had with Lee Iacocca. What have you been doing since? Just partying?
I've been having a good time sitting out here watching the boats, watching you. It's a pleasant day. There's a very festive kind of holiday atmosphere up and down our little promenade here, and I gather that's true all over the city. I've been listening to some of the radio reports.
A lot warmer than last night. What are the radio reports? Yeah, you and I froze out here together. What are the radio reports saying about the number of people that are watching on that side on Manhattan Island?
Well, it's beginning to fill up over there, apparently, but everything seems to be going smoothly in Manhattan. You know, there were great concerns about gridlock and people lock and everything else, and you can see from here that the promenade there is pretty well filled up as well. But I gather, based on all the reports that we've been hearing thus far, that things are going extremely well. I have something, you know, there's been a lot of talk about this being oversold, too much hype, too much description, too much excitement about it. The good gray lady of the New York Times, 100 years ago, on the day after the dedication of the Statue of Liberty. Would you like to hear just some of the prose?
Please do, go on.
Then, Liberty, they wrote. Liberty, 104th of July, broke loose yesterday to exalt her name, and despite the calendar, rolled themselves into a delirious and glorious one. At daybreak, the city stirred nimbly and flung a million colors to the heavy air, for the Cloud King, get that, had covered the heavens and moved upon the waters, but she plumed herself, Lady Liberty, and showered scarlet and snow and azure and gold, defying the skies to darken her festival. Then streamed the people, convergent rivers of life, hurrying and sweeping through 1,000 channels to the path of the pageant, there eddying or gathered or running counter to the onward tide, till the great thoroughfares overflowed in billows of humanity, etc., etc., etc.
Hopefully we'll not be that flowery tomorrow morning.
We have not learned much restraint in 100 years, it turns out.
No, and in fact, some of the similarities are remarkable, as I'm sure you know, but some of you may not. Following the festivities, there were an awful lot of people who, mindful, I guess, and looking forward to 1986, said, hey, wait a minute, the only dignitaries who were out there on the island were the fat cats, those who had paid an awful lot of money to get there, when really it was the little people who had contributed to the World, the newspaper, and Mr. Pulitzer's efforts to get the base of the statue built, who were basically left out of it. Much as you're hearing today, that only the fat cats supposedly are allowed down there.
The people who may be having the best time of all, however, it turns out, are the sailors on the tall ships that we will be seeing before too long. They have come into port here in the last week or so, and they have been all over the city of New York in their very smart uniforms representing whichever nationality they represent, the English and the French and the Argentines and so on. And they've kind of taken the city by storm. They say that they can't go into a bar without getting their back slapped the length of the bar, drinks being bought for them. And the women apparently of Lower Manhattan, who, as one of the sailors said, I guess they're tired of guys in pinstripe suits because they have really turned to these uniforms. And at one point there is a story that the launch taking the sailors from the island of Manhattan back, they had to kick the women off the launch.
Really?
I find that hard to believe.
I was going to say, yeah.
Tale.
You and I, you know, one semi-serious note, you and I only touched on it last night, and I say this really quite favorably. This is really Ronald Reagan's kind of weekend, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. I mean, he is the national host, the master of ceremonies par excellence, in addition to being the president of the United States. He genuinely loves this kind of occasion. He plays it well. He's without guile when he addresses an assembly as he had last night, as we'll hear him again today. He loves to salute and to be on the JFK. I say that not in a critical fashion, because he really has made a kind of standard of the old-fashioned 4th of July. And you remember in 1980, Brian, he was on the New Jersey side when he kicked off his presidential campaign against Jimmy Carter on Labor Day. There he was in shirt sleeves.
In Jersey City, I believe.
In Jersey City, the Statue of Liberty framed in the background, and it was really a stunning beginning to what has been one of the most personally popular presidencies in memory.
Yeah. You know, for those of you who think you may be missing something, let us assure you, you are not. What we were watching there, a little bit of that's happening down on the way, is the commemoration of a Liberty staff, and you can see it right there. But let us assure you, you will miss none of the dignitaries when they get up to speak. When President Mitterrand and President Reagan get up to speak, we will certainly be joining in, nor will you miss any of the tall ships. You and I were also talking a little bit last night about how, it's not quite a story of all's well that ends well, but this thing was so much fraught with controversy and so fraught with criticism, and all of it seems to have disappeared on this weekend.
It has disappeared because it has gone well, I think, and I think that has a lot to do with it. The weather is cooperating. The ceremonies last night went well. Lee Iacocca said this morning he has repaired his rift with Donald Hodel. He's getting along with this administration. We're seeing now the president, of course, who is here on Governor's Island, and he will be reviewing the tall ships as they go by.
Tom, were you as surprised as I was that they allowed the president to sit there without a top coat in the chill of the night air for as long as he did last night?
Yeah, I am a little surprised by that because everybody was quite cold. I talked to Senator Dole after you finished talking with him this morning. He said he left early last night. It was that cold. And Iacocca was saying they had to bring in blankets for his crowd. The French were the only ones prepared for the cold. Mitterrand had a top coat.
Yeah. We are seeing the tall ships. They got started, I guess, underneath the Verrazano Narrows Bridge in parts of Staten Island, and have made their way here through the harbor. And they're going to be parading for us shortly. And you were seeing Andy Williams there. He's going to be honoring us with a song.
It's a great pleasure for me to be here this morning. I'd like to thank David Wolper for inviting me to be part of this glorious, wonderful weekend. You know, long before the Liberty Bell sounded the call of freedom over 200 years ago, Americans have always taken great pride in their country and great pride in being citizens of the United States. On this historic 4th of July, in front of our beautiful Lady of Liberty, I'd like to sing a song that has special meaning for me and all Americans all over the world, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He hath trampled out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory. Transfigures you and me as he died to make men holy. Let us die to make men free as God is marching on. Glory, 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 hallelujah. His truth is
Andy Williams concluding Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Andy
That's
Williams.
about as stirring a combination of word and picture as you can possibly have, I think, on television. You know, Andy Williams every year goes to Wimbledon, and he passed it this year to be here. And at Wimbledon on the 4th of July, he gathers Americans around him, and he sings a cappella America, and it's quite stirring.
Let me introduce the gentleman who has also joined us right now. He is Captain Jim Kelly, and he has joined us at Governor's Island to help tell us a little bit about the tall ships that'll be coming into view. Captain Kelly knows from where he speaks because 10 years ago, you had the view from ship to shore, yes?
Indeed, I did. And looking at it from this vantage point, Brian, it looks like a repeat of 1976.
You commanded the Eagle during the bicentennial opsail. The Eagle's leading the parade of tall ships here. How does she handle? What does it feel like?
Well, it's a very interesting experience. In this particular wind, as I view the Eagle right now, I can see that she has no squares set, which means that the wind is probably not very favorable for setting those squares. But there was a similar situation 10 years ago, almost identical winds. We came up the harbor with mostly our fore and aft sails set. A few squares were set, but they were not really very effective because of the direction of the wind.
We had a heavier chop last night, a much stiffer breeze. You would have preferred that for a day like today?
It would have been preferable from the standpoint of the tall ships to have a bit of a breeze. Of course, that might have thrown the schedule out of whack as well, because Eagle can run up to 15, 16, 17 knots.
They've been breezing right past her.
Indeed, it would have.
Help me out a little bit. These ships are divided into 3 distinct groups. Why?
Well, the Class A ships typically are ships of 175 feet and above, and then the Bs are up to 175 feet, and the Cs are generally typically ships that are under 100 feet.
The first group includes what are called protocol ships. Now, why don't you take us through the definition in a naval sense?
Well, I would suggest that the word protocol ships comes in because the major ships, the ones that are in the center of this first column, are the, let's say, official representatives of their countries. Now, that's not entirely true, but in general it is. Certainly Eagle, Denmark, Christian Radich are representatives of their own particular countries.
This has become a real phenomenon, hasn't it, in the last 10 years, these ships getting together and sailing in formation like this in various ports in the world?
Well, it is, and indeed there have been a few ships recently added to the fleet of tall ships.
Captain Kelly, I'm going to have to interrupt you because the President is starting his remarks.
But not this weekend. This weekend we celebrate, my friends, we cut loose. The procession that we're about to witness will be as colorful as fireworks, as majestic as Lady Liberty herself. I hear you. It'll speak to us of the past, of the days when great ships like these dropped anchor in our harbors to unload tea from China, whale oil from open seas, and yes, immigrants from around the world. It'll speak to us of present and future amity between our nation and the many nations that have sent ships here today to lend their beauty, the curve of their hulls, the lines of their masts and rigging as they stand out against the sea, the sky, to our rejoicing. Passing in review today, we see more than 20 of the 30 or so tall ships that are left in the world. The U.S. Coast Guard bark Eagle will lead the procession. Schooners, barks, brigantines, and ketches from more than 30 countries are entering the harbor. Somehow men have always found moving the sight of these vessels of wood and metal and canvas. Indeed, some centuries ago, one writer of Proverbs described as wonderful the way of a ship in the midst of the sea. Perhaps it has something to do with the knowledge that nothing binds sailing ships, nothing holds them back, that they can travel anywhere across the vast and trackless sea. Perhaps indeed these vessels embody our conception of liberty itself, to have before one no impediments, only open spaces, to chart one's own course, to take the adventure of life as it comes, to be free as the wind, as free as the tall ships themselves. It's fitting then that this procession should take place in honor of Lady Liberty. And as the wind swells the sails, so too may our hearts swell with pride at all that Liberty's sons and daughters have accomplished in this, the land of the free. This spectacle has been literally years in the planning. On behalf of the American people, I want to thank Ambassador Bus Mossbacher and his entire operations sales staff for making this international celebration, this stately salute to liberty. And now, bus, where are you? Come forward. Thank you.
Patrons of Opsail and is a
President
two-time defender of the
Mitterrand, Madam
American
Mitterrand, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, so much has been said that there's very little I can add except perhaps to thank the President, because without his very warm and enthusiastic support from day one, and day one was about 3 years ago, the group, this dedicated group who presented Opsail in 1964 and in 1976, each time vowing never to do it again, decided that the centennial of the Statue of Liberty and a salute to liberty was very much in order. But no matter how hard they work and how expert they are, and they are, it could not have been done without the President. So as a small token, Mr. President, from our board of directors and all of the volunteers, and they are all volunteers, may we present to you, sir, this token of our thanks and esteem.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now, sir, with your permission, may we present your eagle and Elizabeth Dole's eagle and Opsail 86. I can carry that down.
And with that, Eagle is now coming into view, leading the parade of the tall ships. One more time.
Eagle is a Coast Guard boat that was originally commissioned by Nazi Germany, 1936. Adolf Hitler commissioned that ship as a training vessel, and it was repatriated by the United States.
She was one of the prizes of war, I believe.
Indeed. So there's a kind of ironic ring, of course, to this feeling of liberty that she represents here today. She sails into New York Harbor, expressing all of the freedom that we're all feeling.
You were just telling me as we closed down shop that you first went up in Liberty's Crown as a little boy, huh?
I did. I was a teenager. I came to New York and I did all...
She was built then, Tom?
Not quite. Now, look, folks, I know that I'm a graduate of this program, but I haven't been gone that long. I did. I came here when I was 17 years of age, and I went up, like all tourists, went out to the Statue of Liberty, crawled up into the Crown, and took a look at it and went back down. What I remember best about that trip is that I bought a radio at one of those discount places on Fifth Avenue, and it stopped working as soon as we cleared New York airspace. That's what I remember about it.
What I want to know is how you can presume to know much about the Opsail. I mean, we're all Midwesterners.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people where I come from don't go down to the sea in ships. They go to the swimming pool.
Well, we didn't learn to read. That was the big thing, then.
And that was the extent of it. That's right. But the whole flotilla is going to come by here, and we suspect that this is most of what these people have been waiting for here. It's been a pretty good party.
It has been indeed. Last night, the QE2 came in with the Chrysler dealers on board, and one of them said, "I feel just like the immigrants must have felt." I thought, yeah, I bet a lot of them came in on the QE2 drinking champagne. And
Tom, it's been good having you with us and, you know, helping yourself to our jelly beans.
Well, thank you very much. I wanted to keep up Jane's quota. If the per second consumption was going pretty well.
I've been passing them to Brian.
Let's know, Jane and I are getting out of here, but you're going to be back here tonight with a special edition of
I am,
NBC
and I'm grateful to you to let me have a kind of an alumnus status. I like these hours better than the ones I had when I was here before. I know that you get a balloon.
Yeah, you're always welcome here. You know that.
We'll have a special one-hour edition of Nightly News tonight from this very location. We hope everyone will join us then.
We'll be watching, and have a good weekend. Our best to Meredith and
Thank
the kids.
you.
Everybody.
And to you as well.
For all the rest of
And
us here who have...
those that are coming.
And those that are coming as well, who've managed to put together a special 4-hour edition of today. This has been a wonderful day. We hope we've done the lady and the birthday proud. Certainly we have tried. For all the very good folks who helped put it together on the morning shift, we thank you very much for joining us. Wish you a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Here's a glimpse of the faces and places the names pass.
millions and millions of Spanish